They spilled out into the courtyard under the blood-red moon that was rising. The knights gathered in a circle, their faces pale at the anger behind the duel, neither backing down. Others joined the knights, Merlin one, when another. From the window above, Morgana looked on. Arthur attacked with a ferocity that shattered a hay cart that had been left out by an errant groomsman. Splinters flew around them. Elund did not react, even when a few shards struck her. Instead, met him strike for strike, her movements fluid and considered. She was faster, and the muscle memory of her mercenary training made her move as if on instinct. But Arthur met her thrusts with the ferocity of a man forced to face a belief that had been destroyed in front of his face. Elund was not loyal, but instead, had come to take his kingdom apart piece by piece. "You were the only one I trusted," Arthur yelled, his blade clashing against hers, sending sparks into the night air. "You and Merlin, and both of you look at me with secrets in your eyes." Merlin stood at the edge of the circle, his fingers twitching. He saw the opening. Arthur was overextending. With a subtle flash of gold in his eyes, he caused the flagstones beneath Arthur's feet to slick with a sudden, unnatural frost. Arthur stumbled. Morgana, watching from the balcony, narrowed her eyes. She felt the ripple of power. She didn't know it was Merlin, but she hated Arthur's arrogance at that moment. She whispered a word, and a heavy decorative brazier tipped, the iron chain snapping and swinging toward Arthur's head, forcing him to dive out of the way. The luck was all on Elund's side, fueled by the two most powerful magic users in the realm. Yet she felt a sickness. She didn't want to win like this. Arthur lunged again, catching Elund's shoulder with the flat of his blade, sending her crashing against the well. He stood over her, breathing heavily, the point of his blade at her throat. He had the upper hand. The courtyard went silent. "Kill me, then," Elund whispered, soot and blood smearing her face. "If you truly believe I am your enemy, end it." Arthur's hand trembled. He looked into her eyes, the eyes of the girl who had saved him from the wyvern, the girl who had laughed with him in the kitchens. The rage broke, replaced by a hollow, aching void. He lowered the sword. "Go," he whispered, "before I change my mind." Elund stared at him for a long moment. She didn't plead. She didn't cry. She wiped the blood from her lip and stood up with a slow, agonizing dignity. She sheathed Lancelot's sword and looked at the circle of men who had been the closest thing to family she had had since she had left Gualod. She looked at Merlin, nodding a silent thank you, before glancing up to the Lady Morgana, who nodded back to Elund. Without a word, Elund the Say of Gualod turned her back on the citadel. She walked through the heavy iron gates of Camelot, her head held high, her footsteps echoing on the stone. She didn't look back at the towers or the prince who stood frozen in the eclipsing moonlight. She walked until the torches of the city were nothing but dim stars in the distance, as the moon passed out of the shadow of the earth and became a bright white disk in the sky once more. Elund head north, to the Henoel Ed their capital on Niceman, to King Cuneda, friend of the Druid and the Say, to beg sanctuary, and out of the life of Arthur Pendragon.